So, about these dietary proteins, that is the proteins we consume daily, what are the functions they perform in our body? Is a person's physical condition determined based on iron, calcium, and protein? So, doctor, to build muscle, people consume proteins both artificially and naturally. What's your opinion on this? There are people who believe that by carefully reducing the amount of carbohydrates in their daily diet and by choosing to eat more protein rich foods, they can lose weight and also gain muscle. I mean, what is your opinion on this, doctor? So, doctor, how do we decide how much protein to eat? Or rather, how much protein should one eat in a day? So, about these dietary proteins, that is the proteins we consume daily, what are the functions they perform in our body?
Each food we eat contains protein in different amounts. The nature of the protein and its effects vary depending on the type of food and how it is processed. Similarly, inside our body, these proteins are utilized in various ways. Enzymes are made from proteins. So the enzymes needed for digestion, hormones, and what are called transport proteins are all proteins. There are transport proteins that help carry substances to different organs. Hemoglobin, also known as globin, is one such protein. So whether it's transport or oxygen transport, lipoproteins carry cholesterol and triglycerides throughout the body. It is these proteins that transport what is needed to the respective tissues. So there are transport proteins. There is a protein called albumin present in these circulatory channels. Water balance is what it regulates. That is its function. So if albumin decreases, the whole body can develop swelling. So there are such proteins. Our immune system's antibodies, which function as part of our defense, are also proteins. Then everyone believes that it is by consuming these proteins that muscles are built. Proteins are also necessary for the body to create all its structures. In that way, it is the body that decides. When we eat food, depending on the nature of that food, the body uses it according to its needs. For example, if enzymes are needed, the body will produce enzymes. If hormones are needed, it will produce hormones. If transport proteins or albumin or immunoglobulins are required, say when we are sick, then the body will make those as well. The body breaks down those proteins and utilizes them according to its needs. But proteins have many types. They have varied functions.
So let's just consult together first, and then we'll plan our meals accordingly.
It is carefully regulated, and accordingly, food is sent to the body as needed based on its requirements. All we need to do is simply eat according to the specific needs of our own body. It's actually the body itself that decides what is necessary, right? When I lose weight, I remind myself that this is not a mechanical device or a simple machine, but rather a complex living system. It's not done mechanically. Now, everything happens according to the needs of the body. For example, if someone is synthesizing something, it is taken to the liver, cholesterol is taken to the liver, and then it is processed further. So when we talk about cholesterol in the blood, more is produced in the lipoprotein and more is produced in the high-density lipoprotein. When it is brought to the liver, its other roles are also carried out. So for someone who is not synthesizing, there will be more LDL beta lipoprotein present. Ultimately, it is the body that decides. Whether we eat cholesterol or not, it is the body that determines how much should circulate and how much should be taken to the liver for processing.
Is a person's physical condition determined based on iron, calcium, and protein?
The body has many macronutrients and micronutrients. There's carbohydrate, protein, fats, and similarly, there are minerals and vitamins. So when we decide on a certain amount for all this, you see, the body is a constantly functioning entity. So in that, more than the equilibrium of the components, the functional equilibrium is what's important. Meaning, for a function to happen, many proteins, carbohydrates, fats, or minerals and vitamins all work together to perform that function. For instance, for energy production or to create fluid balance in the body. For any such activity, it's a combined action of all these things. Now, if you look at just one vitamin, a single vitamin itself performs many functions, and it works together with many other things to perform a single function. So, when we look at just the quantity of these things, we don't know how that functional equilibrium has been achieved. So when a function is impaired, the treatment isn't just to give a vitamin. The basic reason, whatever the cause may be. For example, when a child cries, you can't just decide to give it food, can you? So only when you understand the reason for the child's crying, can you find the right remedy. So similarly, it is to create this functional equilibrium that we provide treatment. Or rather, what we call health is this functional equilibrium. We understand the body's condition, and it is to confirm or establish that understanding that we look at all these values. So, if iron is low, the treatment isn't just to give iron, but it is to understand the cause or to understand its current condition that we do a lab investigation. So, after scientifically examining and understanding the body's condition, the lab investigation is done to confirm that condition or to understand more about it. It's not the other way around. We don't understand the body's condition based on the lab investigation.
So, doctor, to build muscle, people consume proteins both artificially and naturally. What's your opinion on this?
Yes. Many people eat only eggs. Some eat eggs and milk together, or in different ways, they consume protein, like only non veg, or people who eat a lot of meat. So there's no substance in the body that is purely protein, right? So it's not like the protein we eat directly becomes protein in our body. Plus, no substance in the body exists as just protein alone. Also, the body is, as I said before, it's not a machine. It's not like what we give it immediately goes and starts to function. All food is not the same. For instance, cereals, the food we should be eating should be wholesome. It should be in a form that is favorable to us. That is, rice mainly or wheat should be our main prime food, meaning carbohydrate should be a main food. Along with that, as adjuvants, as its curries, we add various proteins or items containing protein. For example, we add dal or we add pulses, and in that there will be fat, there'll be oil and ghee. We add spices to it. So only when it's given in such a wholesome manner will the body absorb it in the way it needs to. So the body takes what it needs according to its status as well. So for a person who exercises, that particular pathway, those receptors get activated. Meaning, when we eat a balanced diet and when that pathway is activated, then to create proteins or to build that muscle, the transformation of proteins required for the nourishment and growth of the muscle takes place. Now, if our body needs something else, for instance, if it needs hormones, or if a person who doesn't exercise needs these LDL transport proteins, then only that will be produced. By exercising, that channel gets activated. So from the balanced diet we eat, the proteins we need are transformed more for that purpose. That transformation happens. Otherwise, when we consume only protein, not as part of a balanced diet, the digestion, the metabolic process, it becomes a burden. It can affect the liver, it can affect the kidneys, it can affect bone formation, and conditions like osteoporosis can occur. So consuming only protein, or for instance, saying you ate 3 eggs in the morning or 5 eggs and drank milk, that is not a balanced diet. So it affects its digestion. It affects digestion and assimilation. Proper absorption doesn't happen. Even if the transformation pathway is activated, the body can't be nourished properly. So when we consume protein, or rather when we consume artificial protein, it's not the same as the protein found within a food. Now, rice also has protein. For example, red rice has protein, or wheat, that also has protein. Then there are lentils, the dal family, they also have proteins. Green peas have protein. Urad dal has protein. Non-veg food also has protein. But the protein inside these is not the same as when you artificially create just the protein. Its very nature changes. In Ayurvedic science, the nature of each substance is described, how it acts after entering the body. For instance, when you eat wheat, it gives stability to the muscles. Barley, or yavam as it's called, can be used to reduce bad fat. So proteinaceous substances can be used both to provide nourishment and to reduce it. So when you separate it and take only the protein from within, its very nature changes. It becomes a completely different entity. So the nature of the protein won't be the same as when it was inside the original substance. So when you consume only protein like that, it will produce a metabolic burden. And not just a metabolic burden, it will affect internal homeostasis. It will create the effects of consuming too much protein. So rather than just focusing on protein, we should think about a balanced diet and exercising to activate its pathway. We need to activate its receptor activity.
Then the body automatically takes care of its own nourishment and growth. We cannot force the body to do it for us.
So the best method is to exercise to activate the body's natural processes and eat a balanced diet. When you eat an artificially protein-rich diet or things like eggs and milk or a non-veg predominant diet, this
Agonist activity. Agonist means it increases receptor activity and alters gene expression. That is, it alters the gene activity meant for building more muscle or for muscle nourishment. It affects the very mechanism that produces more protein.
we don't realize this at that young age. When we're young, our metabolism is very active, so it doesn't cause many problems. Science itself says, Vayastha balashalinam viruddhyamapi na piraye. During that Vayastha, that young prime age, our metabolism is very active. When our strength is at its peak, we are unaware of such wrong things. I mean, it's young people who go to the gym, right? They go to the gym and consume protein powder, but they don't really know enough about it. Once they pass a certain age, when they're around 30, 35, it'll gradually start. And later, it can even develop into very serious illnesses.
There are people who believe that by carefully reducing the amount of carbohydrates in their daily diet and by choosing to eat more protein-rich foods, they can lose weight and also gain muscle. I mean, what is your opinion on this, doctor?
Yes, many people tend to cut carbohydrates or avoid them altogether. They might eat only eggs or consume more of things like paneer and other such items. In Ayurvedic science, in science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda, which is our methodology that we have developed. So in this, we provide scientific nutrition to our patients. That is, the idea is to provide maximum nourishment or nutrition for that particular disease state. It's not just a concept, it's actually what happens. For that to happen, one must have a balanced diet. The nature of the food and a balanced diet are what determine nourishment and depletion. So in a balanced diet, it should be cereal predominant, meaning the other food items are consumed along with the cereal.
This means rice, wheat, barley. These can all be used as the main food.
And along with that, we use lentils or vegetables and pulses. And the ingredients used for cooking, that is an adequate amount of fat or ghee, oil, all these are used in cooking.
Then salt, spices, all of these are added. And consuming this combination in a quantity that is required by the body at the right time,
that is, when the previously eaten food has been digested and you feel hungry, eating the right amount at that time is what we call a balanced diet. Only when you eat this way will it provide the necessary nourishment and cause depletion. The body will use what it needs and will also excrete the rest. So for someone who exercises, more protein gets utilized and carbohydrates are less utilized. Automatically, due to their metabolism, they will lose weight or weight loss will occur and muscle development, growth and nourishment will also happen. So it is the balanced diet, the person's exercise, consuming that balanced diet at the right time, in the right way, and their exercise, that determines the outcome. It's not that if you just eat more protein, your metabolism will get disrupted. And then it won't be muscle that you build. You will end up with diseases.
So, doctor, how do we decide how much protein to eat? Or rather, how much protein should one eat in a day?
A balanced meal, that is, one that is predominantly cereal-based with everything else as accompaniments, is what constitutes food. We don't eat with the sole purpose of eating protein. It's the body that decides how much it needs and how much it doesn't. So for a person who doesn't do any exercise, the food they eat is used only to maintain their health and the rest is expelled. Now, for someone who exercises, the body will utilize the proteins in this food wherever they are and use all the necessary components to build muscle. Or the muscle will be nourished, its repair process will happen, its development will happen, and its growth will happen. So the balanced diet we eat or the wholesome food is what determines. Rather than how much protein you eat, it's the body that decides on the protein's utilization and how much of it to expel. Okay? So the amount of protein, if you eat a balanced diet according to your hunger, your metabolism, and your tissue needs, then it will be utilized as much as required. Now, if it becomes excess, if we eat only protein or eat too much protein, if more than what's needed enters the body, it can affect the kidneys. Kidney damage can occur, it can affect the liver, it can get deposited in various places, causing inflammation. Chronic inflammation is what turns into a heart attack. The heart circulation gets reduced and it turns into a heart attack. The same chronic irritation can even turn into cancer. So this is a small matter, this protein-rich diet. When you listen to what different people say and start eating it, it can lead to very, very serious. As I said before, at a young age, you don't notice it much. That's because the metabolism is strong. Around 35 or even after 30, for people these days, after 30 itself. This excess can get deposited in various places. In various places, it can cause undesired effects. For instance, it can affect the brain. It can cause encephalopathy. Memory loss can occur. Confusion can occur. Depression can occur. So that's not all. Problems that can even lead to death can be caused by this excess protein. So change the mindset of protein, and think about a balanced diet. That is, the scientific nutrition mentioned in Ayurveda that in different disease conditions, for example, diabetic patients are told not to eat rice-based food. But it's not like that. The food you eat should always be predominantly rice or wheat. That should be the main food. The six tastes should be predominantly sweet, as it is said. Then its physical nature is also mentioned. Snigdha, Ushna, Laghu. Its potency should be one that boosts metabolism. It should have enough fat for its smooth movement. Its absorption and other processes should be done in a way that it can be eaten. Its quantity and its nature. So such things are clearly mentioned in the science of Ayurveda. Now in Western science, there is no such relation. So there's no connection between the food you eat and this. That's why they think of it mechanically. That is, if you eat this much protein, you'll get protein. Or if you take thyroid hormone, the thyroid's function will become normal. If you take iron, your iron levels will become normal. All this is foolishness because it's the body that decides what it needs and what it doesn't. Does it need nourishment or depletion? So not all the food you eat will necessarily be nourishing. For instance, even with protein, the protein in barley causes depletion. The protein in wheat gives strength. Now you have lentils, what we call masoor dal or red lentil. So that acts in a different way. So if we speak based only on the strength it gives to the muscle, this is how proteins act. Besides that, the body's required enzymes, hormones, and other things are all made using these proteins. So excess protein or protein that is not according to your needs can cause a lot of danger.